Hello, 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 hello. How are you? Uh, do you have one of these? I sure do. It is a literally just like this tray full of envelopes of all shapes and sizes. And I thought, let's reduce some of this. Let's make something out of it. So, to that end, I have got all my envelopes out. I'm going to get out a bunch of other stuff. We're going to use up some envelopes and some leftover digitals, okay? So, I will be back with a supply list in just a second. Hang on. So what do we need for this one? You could use a paper trimmer, but I'm going to be using a ruler today. Pencil. I have all of these bits and pieces of digitals from Digital Kits. So I'm going to be using some of these. And then I have envelopes. Now, this does not really work for square envelopes. Let's take a look here. Let me grab a square one. So this kind of a square envelope, it's not going to work really well for this. But these rectangular ones, as long as it's longer on one side than it is wide, it's going to work. Okay? So we're going to start with this one. So business style envelopes, that would work. If you want to use that kind of an envelope. Return mail, that'll work. You just want to be able to close this flap. Okay? So I have some big coin envelopes and some dollar envelopes. And I have a big like seed packet kind of envelope, and then I have, like a regular flat, flangey kind of envelope. And I'm going to grab a return envelope. Let me grab that. So this is a junk mail return envelope. And some ink, glue. That's pretty much what this one is. Okay? So, what we're going to do is we're going to take our envelopes and we're going to glue all of our flaps shut. Now, somebody asked me once why we use envelopes. Why not just, use a piece of paper and fold it over and make it happen? I'll tell you why. Because when you fold over a piece of paper, you never fold it quite right. And so you tend to get this like little bit of a wiggle wonky thing going on. And we don't want that. So I'm going to go ahead and glue all of these shut. You go glue yours shut and then come back. And when you get back, we will move on to the next part of this, which is just going to be some quick folding. Okay? So I'll be right back. All right, so all of my envelopes are glued shut and they're dry. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to start just folding this up. I'm just going to make some like little pockets out of it. Okay? Some are deeper than others, some are more shallow than others. Doesn't matter. We're just going to fold these up and make some little pockets right there. And I'm going to use my bone folder to press that all down. And always go from the fold when you're doing this. This one will be nice and deep. There we go. And this one. All right, so now the next step is going to be to ink. So I'm just going to start inking. I'm going to ink all the way around. My envelope. Okay? And I'm going to do that to all of these, and when I'm done, I'll come back, and then we're going to move on to the next part, which is good for taking out frustrations. So I'm going to get all of these inked, and I'll be right back. So now these are all inked, and we're going to start kind of covering them. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to start with, I'm just going to pick a piece of this paper at random. It's the top one on the pile. We'll take this one. I'm going to go ahead and put my ruler right here. And I'm just going to take this part off. Okay? Then I'm going to bring in one of my envelopes. And I'm going to put that on there almost to the edge. And then I'm going to put a little mark over here. That's where I'm going to tear it at. So I am going to use my board to kind of help me make sure I get this straight. And I'm going to tear this one. And then I'm going to worry about some length. So let me take the bottom off. Now, it does not have to go all the way to the bottom because obviously your pocket's going to come up. So if you want to move it up a little bit, you could do that. And then I'm just going to put my ruler right here just below the top and rip that off. Okay? Now, I'm going to ink this piece and put it in. Look at this. No measuring, right? So I'm just going to ink this. You could round corners if you want to. It's entirely up to you. And then I'm going to go ahead and put this in. Now, this isn't really going to have that much stress on it, so if you want to use tape, by all means, go ahead and do that. I'm not going to recommend a glue stick, because if you use a glue stick, remember, it's got like a 6-month shelf life on it. It's going to come off. Okay? So I'm going to put this towards the top, but down a little bit, because I'm going to cut this open. Okay, so I'm going to leave myself about a quarter of an inch right here. And then I'm going to do the same thing here. So let me grab a different piece that coordinates but is different. All right. And again, I'm just going to take off the edge. There we go. And we're just going to decide, you know, right about here. Again, I'm going to use my board to kind of help me line that up so that I get a semi straight tear. And then I'm going to take the bottom off. Now, if you have a tearing ruler and you want to use that instead because you want that really pretty look, you could do that. Again, I'm going to put this on. And I'm going to put a mark on it with my pencil, if I can find it, at about where I want to get this trimmed. Now I am relying on my board here to help me out. There's my piece. I'm going to go ahead and ink this one, and then I'm going to put this one on, and then we're going to move on to the next part. Okay, there we go. A little ink here, a little ink there. Here's some ink, there's some ink, everywhere some ink, ink. All right, we're going to go ahead and glue this one on. So now that I have that on there, we're going to do two things. One, we're going to close this up. A little bit of glue on either side. Now it's kind of thick, so we're going to hold it for a second, let the glue set up, and then we're going to take this part off. Now you can use your scissors, you can use your tearing ruler, you can use a trimmer, you can do whatever you want, but I'm just going to cut this across, just like that. I am going to take a finger notch out of here. So let me grab my punch. There we go. And I'm going to find the middle. Right about there. Okay. Now, if I don't like that, all I have to do is just take another piece of my paper. Tear it off. Put some glue on the back. And then just take this, put it on the top of the envelope and push it down to where it gets to that cut, and then just press that in. You can do a little trim up here if you need to. And then we're going to re-ink this top piece, including our little finger divot. And there you go. We have a little pocket that we can put into our journal. And because we're using different size envelopes, we're going to get different size pockets. So I'm going to go ahead and do the rest of these really quick, and I'm going to speed up the video so that you don't have to sit here and watch each one of these in slow motion. Okay? Here we go. Okay. So that is all of them. Some of them I did a little different. Let's see. This one, I actually, I think it was this one. It may have been a different one. I think it was this one though. I actually used the decal cutter that I have, just because it, you know, seemed like fun at the time. So I have that one. And we have this one. This one was just torn. And then we have this one. This one, I just put it on there and I just cut around it, which is another way that you can do it. This one, again, was just a torn piece. And, of course, the original one that we did. Now, these all have, let me grab a tag here so we can see this. They all have a top pocket that's fairly deep, and they all have a front pocket. So you have a shallow front pocket here, and then a fairly deep pocket in the back, fairly deep, fairly small, fairly deep, fairly small. Now, if you wanted to, you could cut this open and make 2 pockets out of it. That's entirely up to you. But I like the double strength. Why did I close the envelopes if I was just going to cut them open? Because I'm allowing the paper that closes them to strengthen the tops of them. Okay? So that's it. That's my little project for today. Just a quick envelope project that you can do. And if you do it in a very neutral way, like just vintage style paper, you know, paper that's more just like this, you could make these in advance and then decorate accordingly. That's it. That's all I have for you today. Hey, if you're new and I haven't offended you, hit the subscribe button. Why not, right? What else? What else? What else? Check out my Facebook group. Check out the community tab here on the YouTube channel. Those both have a nice big listing of everything that's going on, all the things that are coming out, free classes, things like that. And check out my Ko-Fi for some free digitals, or skip on over to my Patreon. Even just getting, you know, the free 1-week subscription, it at least tells me that you appreciate what I'm doing here. But, you know, look into the other options, because each one, you know, each tier on the Patreon comes with different benefits. Until I see you again, stay well, my friends. I love you guys. Bye-bye.